it's Friday, May 1st, 2020, and I'm here with your coronavirus update, and you're with your boy Philly Phil, aka The Prophet, aka Lost Prince of Lebanon, aka King of Philippines. And folks, welcome to season 2. And I got a beautiful season lined up for you, so if you like the last one, you're going to love this one. But first, I want to give a shout out to the 29 subscribers that I have. And of course, when I started this channel, I just had maybe 1 subscriber. So you know what? Season 1, I got 30 new people who subscribe to the channel. And you know what? I love that. And I'm not really in this for the views, and I'm not in this for the subscribers. What I am in it for is for spreading the message to as many people within my circle and then their circle and their circle as possible. So it is May 1st, and that's why I got the short sleeves out. Got to stay in fashion. You know, the weather's warming up. That's what makes this whole thing harder for all of us, doesn't it? And, you know, got the window open, and we're going to have a good time. So we're going to shift gears, okay? In this season, I'm going to talk about something other than the coronavirus, but it's still coronavirus related. And that is the next crisis that we're all going to be facing, and that is the coming food supply shortage or inflation, whatever you want to call it. Now, my purpose for presenting this info to everybody isn't to make you go panic buy. It's to make you go out and buy the things that you need responsibly. And if you do it early, it's not panic buying. It's only panic buying when everybody's doing it at the same time. So be early. All right, take Noah's advice and don't get caught in the flood, because I'm telling you, this is coming. And it's not only in poor countries, it's going to happen right here. So I'm going to start by reading you something that the president of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, her name is Mary Robinson. I'm going to read you something that she said, okay? And then we're going to go into the clips. This came out on April 16th. We're going to have to close that. This came out on April 16th, and it said that this afternoon, Mary Robinson, president of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, hosted a virtual press conference to address the extraordinary challenges being faced by the Canadian farmers due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. Robinson warned that without immediate assistance from the federal government, the Canadian agriculture sector cannot ensure our domestic food supply will remain secure for the immediate and long-term benefit of all Canadians. Okay? She listed a few reasons, all right, and one of them is that there's ongoing labor shortages and market unpredictability is impacting farms and food processing. So basically all of the people, the migrants or whoever would come to work on the fields, they're not doing that anymore. So if they're not doing that anymore, then the food is starting to rot in the fields. And that isn't just something here in Canada, it's happening all over North America, in Europe. So it is a big problem. And we're just going to skip along here. And I'm going to read you exactly what she said once again, okay? So, Mary Robinson, this is quote, "As farmers, we have carefully considered this message today. We do not want to create panic. At the same time, it would be irresponsible not to sound the alarm about the realities Canadian farmers are facing. In times of economic crisis and global uncertainty, Canadians have always been able to depend on farmers to do what we do best, grow food. Today, Canadian farmers need immediate, meaningful help from our federal government to continue fulfilling that responsibility. Agriculture, the foundation of our overall food supply, is, at this very moment in time, at a tipping point. If we do not, as a nation, address the rising challenges immediately, Canadian consumers could see a decrease in the amount and variety of food at their local grocery stores, as well as higher prices in the months ahead." Okay, and then she concluded by appealing to you guys and us, and she said that the Canadian Federation of Agriculture stands with all Canadians in their fight against COVID-19. We are asking Canadians, we are asking you to contact your local MP. This is a solution. Contact your local MP and tell them how much you value our food supply system. I mean, like, duh, how much I value. I have to eat, right? Tell your elected representatives that Canadian farmers need support and backing now. We need to know government, as it has done for other industries, and they've bailed out all the big greed monsters, okay? Other industries, as they have for other industries, they need to do the same for farmers so that we can continue to do what we do best, grow food and feed all Canadians, okay? So that was a nice little printout I did for you, but the link is going to be in the description below, and you can check that out. So now we're going to examine some other articles and just one quick clip, and we're going to explore this issue a little bit further, okay?
There is growing concern about how outbreaks of COVID-19 inside some big meat processing plants in Canada, including right here in BC, could impact the food supply chain. For insight into this, let's bring in UBC Food and Resource Economics Professor James Verkaman. Good morning, James. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Now, there have been outbreaks at beef, pork, and poultry plants. How concerned do you think consumers should be about these positive COVID-19 cases at these meat processing facilities?
Well, it will definitely have an impact. The question is how long they were going to be off stream before we're going to start really feeling the impact. We do have an inventory, so we're good for a while, but if they remain out of production for too long, certainly we're going to see a supply crunch and prices are going to have to increase and there will be shortages.
Especially with farmers who rely on temporary foreign workers, even backpackers primarily from Quebec, expressing concerns about this upcoming season, students being asked to take on some of those jobs. Do you think we're at risk of food shortages or price spikes?
In general, I don't think we are. I think most of our global food supplies are in good shape. It's just a matter of there's lots of food at the farm level. It's a matter of getting it processed and getting it through to consumers. And we're going to have some bumps, but I don't think we should worry about actual shortages.
Okay, certainly some reassuring words there. Does this show just how vulnerable our food supply is?
Yes, we are vulnerable, but on the other hand, our food supply system generally works very well.
All right, so the first article I have for you here is out of Politico. USDA let millions of pounds of food rot while food bank demand soared. So this is a massive failure on the part of the government to get the food that's rotting to the people who need it, the food banks. Crazy. So much waste. Tens of millions of pounds of American-grown produce is rotting in the fields as food banks across the country scramble to meet a massive surge in demand, a two-pronged disaster that has deprived farmers of billions of dollars of revenue while millions of newly jobless Americans struggle to feed their families. Images of farmers destroying tomatoes, piling up squash, burying onions, and dumping milk shocked many Americans who remain fearful of supply shortages. At the same time, people who recently lost their jobs lined up for miles outside some food banks, raising questions about why there has been no coordinated response at the federal level to get the surplus of perishable food to more people in need. Okay, demand at food banks has increased an average of 70%, according to Feeding America. Okay, the group estimates that 40% of those being served are new to the system. That's a crazy statistic. All right, so let's check out this next article out of Forbes, which says farmers face their worst case scenario: depopulating chickens, euthanizing pigs, and dumping milk. It's crazy waste. Farmers and ranchers are beginning to face their those are nice little pigs for you pig fans out there. Farmers and ranchers are beginning to face their worst case scenario with meat processing plants closing and institutional milk buyers shut down. Some farmers have no choice now but to put the food they're producing to waste. Dairy farmers are trying to decide between dumping their milk and selling their dairy cows for beef. Contract chicken growers in the Eastern Shore have been asked to depopulate nearly 2 million chickens. Hog farmers in Iowa and Minnesota are starting to euthanize their pigs. Okay, like it's just crazy. Producers in the food system who are obligated to a larger entity, the options are limited. Goes on to say the ironic thing about this is that things we're supposed to look up. Says Amanda Stone. If we go down to the bottom there, after 4 years of decreasing milk prices, the numbers were finally predicted to turn around, but then the coronavirus hit. So this just goes on to talk about the psychological damage that this is doing to the farmers. And she says it's unfathomable. Blah. Tongue twister. Okay, so this one's at a time. The food supply chain is breaking. Tyson Foods warns of meat shortage as plants close due to COVID-19. Tyson Foods, one of the U.S.'s biggest meat processors, didn't mince words in a full-page New York Times spread that ran Sunday in which they warned the food supply chain is breaking. As pork, beef, and chicken plants are being forced to close, even for a short period of time, millions of pounds of meat will disappear from the supply chain. Okay, it says it right there. As a result, there will be limited supply of products available in grocery stores until we reopen our facilities.
And this one's out of the New York Times. Instead of coronavirus, the hunger will kill us. A global food crisis looms. The world has never faced a hunger emergency like this, experts say. It could double the number of people facing acute hunger to 265 million by the end of this year. So that's a doubling of what it usually is. This is from Kenya. Okay, in the largest slum in Kenya's capital, people desperate to eat set off a stampede during a recent giveaway of flour and cooking oil, leaving scores injured and 2 people dead. Imagine that. In India, thousands of workers are lining up twice a day for bread and fried vegetables to keep hunger at bay. And across Colombia, poor households are hanging red clothing flags from their windows and balconies as a sign that they are hungry. We don't have any money and now we need to survive, said Pauline Karushi, who lost her job at a jewelry business in Nairobi and lives in 2 rooms with her child and 4 other relatives. That means not eating much. The coronavirus pandemic has brought hunger to millions of people around the world. National lockdowns and social distancing measures are drying up work and incomes and are likely to disrupt agricultural production and supply routes, leaving millions to worry about how they will get enough to eat. Okay, this just talks about how the coronavirus has sometimes been called the equalizer because it has sickened both the poor and the rich. But when it comes to food, the commonality ends. The poor people suffer the most. It's true. And this one here is out of ABC News 9, and it talks about how the beef and pork prices are going to jump. Okay, so this is the important part. The prices are going to jump. Grocery store supplies remain tight, with items from Tylenol to chicken in short supply, and it appears beef and pork could soon be added to that list. So it's saying that eggs have gone up, and let's just go down. 99-cent eggs from earlier this year are now $1.59. A gallon of milk is up $1, and ground beef and hamburgers is up $6 from $4. So I know this is the States, but trust me, this is coming here. Actually, I've already noticed that it's happened here already with those prices. So just in case you think it's just the States, let's go to Vancouver Sun, which says the same thing. COVID-19 grocery prices to start to rise as cost increases take hold. The price of beef and other groceries has begun to climb as coronavirus costs bite into stores' bottom lines, says the Vice President of the Canadian Federation of Independent Grocers. Okay, so all these articles are in the description below. You can read them all.
Okay, so looks like we got ourselves a problem here, right? Who would have thought the food supply chain would not be guaranteed? So I'm going to give you a few solutions, things that I'm doing personally and things that maybe you should think about doing too. And one thing you want to do is you want to take a look at planting a garden. If you have the room, if you have a backyard, or even if you're in an apartment or a condo, you can still start growing a small garden. Now, what you do is order some seeds. You can just buy them online, just from whatever vegetables. Think about 7 to 10 vegetables that are your favorite vegetables that you want to grow. Order the seeds, and you can just keep the seeds. Even if you don't plant the garden, you can still just keep the seeds, because the seeds are good for like 3 to 5 years. They're still good. You can plant them anytime. So my advice would be to get those seeds now, because those two will probably skyrocket in price. They're pretty cheap right now. I think you can get a pack of broccoli seeds for like maybe $2 or $3, but that will go up to like $50. And if you don't think that that's possible, trust me, I mean, you got another thing coming. So planting a garden is a great idea. But to me, a more practical idea is to go out and buy a bunch of frozen vegetables. The reason why and fruit. You get all your nutrients from the vegetables. You can survive off vegetables and water and maybe some beans, right? You could live, but the meat it's taking up a lot of room in your freezer, and I mean that's not guaranteed to keep you alive, right? So get yourself some frozen veggies. You're gonna want fresh produce. I mean, ultimately, I don't think there'll be a problem with the meat. It may be short supply for a while. It may go up higher, but I do see a problem possibly happening with the produce, because there's nobody working the fields. It takes a lot more. It goes bad quicker, and I could easily see them, if they're in a situation, Xing out produce. And it'll be like the Great Depression, where people were running around with malnutrition. So, but of course, back in the Great Depression, people knew how to grow food and store food in the winter and all that type of stuff. We are completely unprepared for anything should that happen. So go out, get yourself some frozen vegetables, and let's be honest, not a lot of people are going to see this video. So, I mean, if you're one of the people who sees it, then you're just going to go out. It's not like I have 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 people following so that I've just told everybody to go and hit the grocery stores. Yeah, water purification tablets, okay? Water purification tablets. You want to go out and get these babies. Here's why. Nothing is guaranteed. Do not assume that water and food will be guaranteed, because we don't know what's going to happen, and it's better that you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So, like the president of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, Mary Robinson, said, write a letter to your local MP, and that's something that we can all do. It's practical. One more thing I want to say about the water purification tablets. One of those pills is good for a liter of water. So, I mean, in a time of crisis, you know, you go on down to your lake, you go on down to your river, just like great-grandma used to do. You got one pill, boom, purified, and you're good. You're gravy. You're Swayze, okay? So it's really good to have those on hand. So you got your water purification tablets, all right? You got your starter garden. You got your order your seeds. You got your get your vitamins. You got your letter to your MP, okay? And that's what it's all about right there. Pack your freezer full of frozen veggies and fruits. And listen, there's always room for meat too, but I don't know how much room you got in your freezer. If it was up to me, I'd put more vegetables than meat if it's a time of crisis. But one thing that you should know is that if you're trying to buy a freezer right now, good luck, because apparently a lot of them are sold out. Who would have thought freezers sold out? Crazy. At least in some areas anyways. So we're going to move along now to the Phillips People segment. And this is where I read a few shout-outs to some people who tell me how much they enjoy the show, so that's very nice of them. I want to give a shout out to Jessica. Happy birthday, Jessica. Okay, may you find happiness and good health. I also want to give a happy birthday shout out to Raul. Okay, all those Mayflowers out there, happy birthday. So that's it. Before we go, I'm going to take you guys on a trip to my kitchen and just show you what I'm talking about. I practice what I preach, and I'm going to show you what's in my kitchen. So let's go. That one, and okay, that one. All right, yeah. So this is what you do, okay? It's not complicated. It's very simple. Just go out, get yourself some frozen veggies. Brussels sprouts. Get a few of these, maybe 2, 3, whatever you need. I don't know how big your family is. Broccoli, okay? Get a few of these. Broccoli, all right? Mixed vegetables. I like the Thai one. Asparagus, right? Asparagus is great. Get a couple of those asparaguses. Get some spinach, right? More Brussels sprouts. So you get a bunch of frozen veggies. Oh, these two. This is also great because you get the carrots, you get everything, corn, whatever it is. The thing is that I do advise that you plant a garden, right? But the thing is when you plant a garden, just one tree, or sorry, one plant, let's say broccoli, it's gonna yield you maybe not even a bag of this. So although it's good to plant, and you should, realistically, even if you plant a bunch of stuff, it's gonna yield, this will yield you much more than any, crop could. Just even in your backyard, it's food, but it's not that much, right? So if you just get the frozen veggies, you throw them in the freezer, and look, this one's good till 2021. A lot of these are good later than 2021. This one's 2022, 2023. So you'll be good with the nutrients and everything that you need just by throwing some frozen vegetables in the freezer, all right? Get yourself some seasonings, rosemary, basil, thyme, bay leaves. Don't take anything for granted. Anything could happen, and these items could either disappear for a little while, or they could shoot up like drastically to the moon. Now, you don't want to be going out and spending $10 for a bag of rosemary. So if you do this now, it's prudent. It's not panic buying, because it's not panic buying if you do it early, okay? And I don't think a lot of people are thinking about this right now. The news is out there, but who's actually doing it? I don't know. How many people are going to see this video? Realistically, maybe 100, 200 people max. And that's just realistic. I'm not huge. Everybody doesn't know me. So I'm telling basically the people who are closest to me and whoever they might share it with about this. Because when the time comes, my conscience is cleared. I did what I could. And so don't come knocking on my door, okay? Because you had plenty of warning. Let me show you one more thing before we go. Gotta have the tea, okay? Gotta have the tea. Got all kinds of tea. Got even more tea over here. And this is good to like 2023. So not only am I good on tea until 2023, but I'm good in case anything ever happens. And I'm protected against the inflation, the inflationary price. All right, so that's it. Like I said, the purpose of this episode is not to make you guys go out and freak out and panic and stuff, but who wants to pay $20 for a piece of chicken? These types of things, they happen. So it's better that we're prepared. If you like this video, please smash the like button. Share it if you're so inclined, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. I also have all of the links for everything I talked about and showed today in the description below, as always. We are really beating this virus right now. Things are going down, the peak's going down, and we don't want to see a reemergence. All right, so that's it. God bless, and peace.